I demanded my sister pay rent for living at home with my parents and refused to pay my rent until she does. So this whole thing started about 3 months ago when I was visiting my parents for Sunday dinner. I'm 24, moved out 2 years ago, and I've been paying them $400 a month to help with groceries and utilities since I still come over like 3 times a week to do laundry and eat their food. My sister Emma is 22 and never moved out. She works part-time at some boutique downtown making probably $12 an hour, but she's always got money for new clothes and going out with friends. I'm sitting there eating my mom's pot roast when Emma starts complaining about how she needs a new phone because hers is literally ancient. It was an iPhone 12. Then she's showing everyone these $200 boots she just bought. I'm doing the math in my head and I'm like, wait a minute. I work full-time at an accounting firm, live in a crappy 1-bedroom apartment, and I'm still giving my parents money every month. Meanwhile, Emma's living here rent-free, eating free food, using free Wi-Fi, and blowing her paycheck on random stuff. So I asked her straight up, hey Em, do you pay mom and dad anything for living here? She just looked at me like I'd asked her to solve calculus and goes, why would I? This is my home. My dad got all uncomfortable and started talking about the weather, but I wasn't letting it go. I told my parents that night that I thought it was completely unfair that I'm paying them money when I don't even live there, but Emma gets everything for free. My mom gave me that whole speech about how family helps family, and Emma's still figuring things out. But like, I was figuring things out too when I moved out at 22, and nobody gave me a free ride. The next week I told my parents I wasn't paying them anymore until Emma started contributing something. Anything. Even $200 a month would show she's at least trying to be responsible. My dad called me being petty and vindictive, and my mom started crying saying I was tearing the family apart over money. But here's where it gets really good. Emma found out I stopped paying and absolutely lost it. She called me screaming about how I'm ruining her life, and how it's not fair that they're asking her to pay rent now because of me. Apparently my parents sat her down and told her she needed to start contributing $250 a month or find somewhere else to live. She tried every excuse in the book. First it was, I don't make enough money, so I suggested she get a second job or work more hours. Then it was, I'm saving up to move out. But when my dad asked to see her savings account, she had like $180 in there. Then she claimed she was going back to school, which was news to everyone since she dropped out of community college 2 years ago. The whole thing came to a head last Sunday when Emma brought her boyfriend Tyler over for dinner. This dude rolls up in a brand new Mustang, and I'm thinking there's no way he bought that on a retail salary. Turns out his parents bought it for him as a graduation gift, even though he graduated high school 3 years ago and hasn't done anything since except work at GameStop. Emma and Tyler start talking about this weekend trip they're planning to Nashville, staying in some fancy hotel, going to expensive restaurants. I'm sitting there watching my parents listen to this while they're stressed about asking their own daughter for $250 a month in rent. So I just started laughing. My mom asked what was so funny, and I said, it's just hilarious that Emma can afford weekend trips to Nashville, but paying you guys a couple $100 a month is apparently impossible. Emma got all red-faced and told me to mind my own business. But Tyler, this absolute genius, decides to jump in and goes, dude, why are you trying to make your sister homeless? I lost it. I told him that expecting a 22-year-old adult to contribute to the household she lives in isn't making her homeless. It's called being a functioning member of society. Then I asked him if his parents charge him rent, and he got all quiet because obviously they don't. But the difference is, his parents can actually afford to support a grown adult child. Mine are both retired and living on Social Security. Emma stormed out with Tyler, and my parents spent the rest of dinner trying to convince me to just drop it and start paying them again. But I stood my ground. I told them I love them, and I'll always help out when they really need it. But I'm not subsidizing Emma's refusal to grow up anymore. The next day, my mom texted me that Emma agreed to pay $200 a month starting in February. She also picked up more hours at work and is looking for a second job. My mom was like, are you happy now? With this passive-aggressive tone. But honestly, yeah, I was happy.